Monica Wilson, a Black woman and a popular blogger, was stopped by police officers on a busy street without any explanation. Their gazes were filled with bias, and the search of her belongings in plain view of passers-by was an overt humiliation driven by only one reason: the color of her skin. A story that could have gone unnoticed turned into a major scandal when she covered it in her blog, sparking a wave of outrage and change. What happened next shocked even the most steadfast observers. But let's start from the very beginning. Monica Wilson, a Black woman and popular blogger, was walking home along the city's busy street. The day had been long, and she was mentally wrapping it up, thinking of new ideas for her posts. Suddenly, her path was blocked by two police officers. Their faces were serious, their eyes wary, as if she posed a threat. They stopped her, and without any explanations, began searching her bag. The initial anxiety was quickly replaced by the realization the reason for the stop was not her appearance or behavior, but the color of her skin. Monica's experience told her this was no coincidence. The officers methodically examined her belongings, turning them out in front of passers-by. People slowed their steps, looking on in confusion, but no one intervened. No one asked questions. In her bag were just ordinary items: a laptop, a notebook, a few personal things. The officers, finding nothing suspicious, exchanged disappointed glances and carelessly returned her belongings. Their apologies were dry and formal, devoid of any real remorse. Monica stood still, feeling her heart pounding heavily. She couldn't accept that she had become a target of bias solely because of her skin color. A firm resolve began to grow within her, to use her voice and platform to speak out about what had happened. Monica returned home feeling humiliated and internally shaken. She couldn't forget how the officers publicly searched her without cause, under the scrutiny of onlookers. Her heart was racing, and thoughts of injustice and how often such situations happen to Black people swirled in her mind. Monica knew her voice carried weight, and she decided to use her platform to share her experience. Wasting no time, she set up everything for filming. Camera, lighting, her voice, everything needed to be clear and compelling. She started recording and, taking a deep breath, began to speak about her experience. Her account was filled with emotion, yet remained composed and assured. She described the encounter with the police, their actions, the complete lack of explanation, and the humiliation she felt as her belongings were taken out and examined as if she were a criminal. Monica's video was more than just a story. It was a call to action. She spoke about the systemic discrimination and bias that Black people face every day. She ended her video firmly and resolutely, promising that this would not be the end, and that she would continue to fight for justice. After posting the video, it quickly gained views. Followers left comments, sharing their own stories and expressing support. The post spread beyond her usual audience. Major bloggers and human rights advocates began to share it. The media took notice, reaching out to Monica for interviews and further details. The city where she lived buzzed with discussion. What would have been an unnoticed stop became a spark that resonated throughout the community. The police, seeing the growing wave of outrage, were forced to respond. An internal investigation began, and Lieutenant Rogers and Sergeant Bales came under the close watch of both their superiors and the public. Monica Wilson's story became the center of public attention within just a few days. The video of her account went viral, spreading across social media at lightning speed. Major news outlets began discussing the incident, adding commentary from civil rights experts and representatives of community organizations. The internet was filled with hashtags supporting Monica and condemning police misconduct, as users expressed their outrage and shared personal stories of injustice. Activists organized peaceful marches and rallies with signs calling for reform and transparency in police operations. People attended with their families to show solidarity. These actions attracted not just local residents, but also people from other regions who joined the movement thanks to Monica's influence and her blog. The police department found itself at the heart of a major scandal. the leadership began to feel increasing pressure from the public and local officials. An internal investigation was announced to examine the actions of Lieutenant Rogers and Sergeant Bales. Officers who once felt assured of impunity were now under the close scrutiny of not only the media, but their peers as well. Every step they took was analyzed and their behavior was criticized. Meanwhile, Monica continued to share new videos and posts, talking about the support she received and the movement that had emerged from her story. People started reaching out to her, wanting to share their own experiences of injustice. She hosted online broadcasts where she discussed the importance of civil rights and the need for police reform. The response from authorities was mixed. Some officials expressed support for Monica and a willingness to review law enforcement policies. Others, fearing unrest and loss of control, tried to stifle the protests and shift attention to other topics. However, the wave of public interest was too powerful to ignore. Shortly after the internal investigation began, the police released preliminary findings that did not satisfy the public. The statement that Lieutenant Rogers and Sergeant Bales's actions were within standard procedures sparked another surge of outrage. People demanded genuine accountability, and the pressure on the department continued to build. Under the threat of new protests, the city administration initiated an independent review of the incident. Monica Wilson, who had become a symbol of the fight for justice, was invited to speak on local television. She participated in discussions with community leaders, lawyers, and politicians, where she talked about the need for change in policing and shared her experience as a reflection of the broader issue of systemic bias. Her calm confidence, backed by eyewitnesses and recordings, made her appearances compelling and impactful. Under mounting public pressure and following the independent investigation, which revealed clear human rights violations, Rogers and Bales were temporarily suspended. This news sparked widespread discussion. Some saw it as the first step toward justice, while others felt it was insufficient. The police department issued a statement promising to review its interaction policies and conduct additional anti-bias training. Monica, aware that her story had become a catalyst for change, did not stop there. She continued using her platform to advocate for reform, sharing updates on new initiatives and encouraging people to engage in dialogue with authorities. She began inviting human rights experts and lawyers onto her broadcasts to provide her followers with practical advice on how to act in similar situations. This case became a turning point not just for the city, but for Monica herself. Her blog transformed into a powerful tool for fighting for rights and justice. In a final video, she thanked her supporters and emphasized that even a single voice can be the beginning of great change. Monica Wilson's story demonstrated that the fight for truth and justice requires courage but can alter the system and inspire thousands to take action.